So here's something that I feel very strongly about.
To lie to a woman about that's just silly. Why don't you care about being used?
Yeah, well, because we're both getting something out of it.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you saying you never been friends with someone you dumped?
You're not. You can be friendly, but being friends is very hard if you're the person.
Okay,
you don't have a friend. You have a dick in reserve at that point. Okay? That guy's just waiting. That guy is waiting for you. That guy is waiting for you to come back to him. Okay, when you dump your next boyfriend, that's what's going on.
What's up, taters? This is Tree from treeoflogic.com, and of course I got my favorite guest back for the third time. And this time we don't have any hostile questions towards him this time. So we're going to do a Q&A, and let's go ahead and begin. But before I do, what's up, Steven? How you doing?
Nothing much, just hanging out, doing my thing, doing what I do,
Okay. All right. So you ready? Let's go ahead and get started with the first question. And and by the way, I mixed it up, and the reason I mixed it up is because we have more questions from men than women this time. So since we have more questions from men than women, I decided to mix them between each other instead of splitting them up with women first and men first. So I just mixed them all together. So the first question is, if you meet a guy in person, exchange numbers, have a good first conversation, but he asks for your social media info, when is it a good time to give it to him? I think the first conversation is too early.
Who is this? Is this supposed to be advice to who? What kind of people?
Oh, I'm sorry. That's a female.
Or no, I just mean in general, what.
Oh, that's to you.
Okay, so here's my approach to relationships is that I like to get all the bullshit out of the way as early as possible. I like to live together as early as possible. I like to get all of that out of it because everything up till then is just a test, and you could fail at any point. So why not just move to the most extreme stage? So if I have a social media where I'm posting a bunch of crazy, and I'm like, oh god, I don't want to show this person all the insane stuff I post. I'll wait until the third date. Why would I get my hopes up? And then on the third date, I show them my Twitter, and they're like, "You're actually batshit insane. I'm never talking to you." And I'm like, "Well, I shouldn't have wasted all this time, right?" It probably depends a little bit on what you post on your social media too. But to be more broad, this is kind of a sad thing I notice. Men especially will do this. You get a lot of guys that'll say "Oh yeah, when I go on dates, I hide that I am really into video games or anime or whatever." It's why the fuck would you hide a major hobby from a potential dating partner? You're setting yourself up for failure because you're not going to be able to hide that throughout the entire relationship.
Yeah. Okay. I actually don't disagree with that. So, okay. Number 2, how do I protect myself from the games women play on men while on dating apps?
Games kind of has a negative connotation.
Yeah.
In some ways we all kind of play these social games. It's just part of existence. So I mean I don't know, you just approach everybody in good faith, message people, talk to people, whatever. If there's really dumb annoying games that people play, which people do sometimes, I mean obviously you can blow those people off or ignore those people, but I mean otherwise it's all kind of part of dating and getting to know somebody, right?
So you're saying that there's no really way to protect yourself because experience is going to be the best teacher? Because if you're new to the dating apps, you're not going to know about the, what do they call that, the thirst trap pictures, Steven? Or the thing about, I need my rent. I don't know what the dating app thing is all about. So I'm just trying to.
Well, I mean, depending. Okay, hold on. Well, there's some games you should never play. If a girl is asking you to send her money or something on Tinder, you never do that, right?
Okay.
Or if if somebody only has one picture posted as a group of friends, and obviously don't fall for that shit. I mean, those types of games are that's
yeah. Well, because I never use the dating app. So if you could, how these games are played, can you at least name the 3 most popular type of quote unquote games that people would play on dating apps?
Damn, I don't know the three most popular types of games. When I think of
Well,
games,
hold on. Go over the one with the group picture. I never heard that one before. So
oh yeah,
use
okay,
that
sorry,
was
hold
your
on.
first
So
one.
some of these are a little different. When somebody says games, I'm usually thinking they're talking about like different types of ways of approaching conversation. So like, somebody
okay.
might call it a game where like a woman gives you kind of short responses to see because she's messaging like 100 guys to see who's the most interesting one. That may be like a kind of like a game, maybe.
Okay.
Those other things I would call like tricks or traps.
Okay.
So like somebody that's posting like from the selfie angle, the picture from above, so you can't tell how much they weigh. Or people that only post pictures with like friends so that you don't know exactly which one is in the picture and they have like this weird plausible deniability, like stuff like that. Those would be like tricks or traps, not just like little social games, I would say.
Okay. All right. So I thought games was something playing around, not being serious. So, okay. So, okay. I guess it's like game if you got swagger or if you got a good... I don't know. I don't know. All right. Here's a third one. This is a question for you and me. Been dating my man for a year. I moved into his house 2 months ago when he asked me to marry him last month. His daughter's mother dropped off their only child and disappeared. I hate this little girl with a passion. I want out, but am I wrong?
You're never wrong with the way that you feel. Your feelings are never wrong, generally. That's always like a good guide. But yeah, you should probably leave. Yeah, you should leave. I'm of the opinion that if you're dating somebody that already has a child, that you having an antagonistic or negative view towards that child is like one of the most disgusting things you could do to a person as a human being. So I think you should get the out. And it's a red flag if the dad is like willing to have you around while you like hate
exactly.
I think that's my feeling. But yeah, I mean.
I'm going to say absolutely get out because here's the deal. Like the mother is doing this to punish you. That's fine. Do you have to, first of all, daughters love their fathers. Sons love their mothers. You are actually an enemy to her. And even though there's a strong chance that she's never going to, she's never going to get her parents back together. Still, with you there, she's going to do everything to sabotage that relationship. And she's going to make sure that she used the daddy little girl thing up on you. Also...
Wait. Who's going to try to sabotage the relationship? The child or the mother?
Both.
Damn. Okay.
You never heard of that? Where if the daughter hates the stepmother, that she just...
I think it's going to depend a lot on like ages. If we're talking about like a 15 or 16-year-old girl, maybe, but if the child's like 3 or 4 or 5, I don't think they're going to be.
That's true, and we don't know.
Yeah, the age is pretty important.
Yeah. Okay, that's a good point. But
there's a lot of dynamics we don't know here either. Like if the husband is like 45 and the wife is like 23, then that would be weird, or not weird. I shouldn't say weird. It's okay, but it would like it would add a different dynamic. If the mother's never seen that other child before, another child seeing it, that would like so. Actually, yeah, there's a lot more information here that we don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think you should ever like punish children for like their parents being weird. I think that's kind of mean.
Absolutely. Don't like just get out because she never asked to be in that position. And if you have resentment towards her, I personally don't want this to happen where you start doing something vindictive towards her. Just get out of the situation. And I know the fact that, she's engaged, that's going to be a little hard for her, but this is one of these things you're just going to have to just cut your losses at this early stage.
Yeah, actually, this advice is totally worthless because she's not going to do any of that. Because if she's already been dating the guy for a year, they've moved in for 2 months, and now they're gay. The real question is, why the f*** are you with the guy if his kids bother you so much and you knew he had kids this whole time?
True. I guess she didn't think that the mother would do something like drop the child off and just go, bye, I'm about to live my single life, I guess most women would never think that. Like when they get into a relationship with a man with kids and they move in with them, the woman doesn't think that the mother would do something so horrid as just to abandon. This is abandonment, She's abandoned her child with the father and just gone off.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know what else is, what other dynamics are going on,
Yeah. Okay. Number 4. Let's see. When clean shaved, this is a very interesting thought-provoking question. When clean-shaven men were the norm in the past, the clean-shaven men were more masculine than the men today with beards, which is now the social norm. Men wearing male buns, skinny jeans, and manga t-shirts with beards are far from masculine. Make men masculine again, but how?
Something that everybody fucked up on, including and especially conservatives, was giving us like good representations of what masculinity means. I don't know why, but nobody seems to understand this. Like, as much as I might hate like the ranting and raving feminists or whatever, I think that there is a really good point to be made about toxic masculinity. And I think that the people that know this best are conservative women that try to date conservative men that are all giant man babies. They think that either because they're loud or they try to act alpha for some reason that makes them alpha or that makes them a manly man, but they can't take care of their lives. They can't take care of their houses. They can't fucking hold down stable jobs. They have no respect for their partners. They think that like being the head of the household means that the woman is your slave. Like, so yeah, I don't know. I mean, like in terms of like, where do you find like positive representations of masculinity or like bringing back masculinity? I don't know what the answer to that is. If I knew, I'd fix society and like make $1 trillion, but, don't be tricked by people that like run around with this like insane bravado, screaming at everybody, pretending that like, oh wow, this is what we all need in our lives.
Yeah. What do you think is masculine to you? I think it's subjective, correct? Like it's.
I mean, like I think that a lot of the like traditionally masculine traits are pretty good. I mean, like I don't know if I would necessarily say they have to only be masculine. Like women could theoretically have them too. But I mean, like having like some level of like honor, integrity, being able to keep your word, being able to hold a schedule, representing some type of like emotional stability in your life, being able to take care of another person. I think all of these things should be like positive hallmarks of, you know, masculinity.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Number 5, why are the rules on crying keep changing? Are men allowed to cry without being shamed? I thought it was okay for men to cry. I keep seeing mixed messages on this.
Okay, so there's like this weird thing that happened where women's for some period of time, people kept saying that women wanted men that cried a lot or whatever.
I never said that.
Yeah, you never said that.
No,
I don't think that's true. But I think what people wanted was people wanted men that were more emotionally in tune, because a lot of the traditional like masculine types were emotionally autistic. Like these people that could like never have an intimate conversation with their children or even their romantic partners. These people that like bottled all their emotions in until they either took it out by beating the shit out of their wives or just being a schizoid loser their entire life who could never have like anything, right? I think that those types of like traditionally like toxically masculine people are very bad. That's bad. You don't want that.
Right.
But then I think people kind of ran off too far in the other direction where they're like, oh yeah, like I think the cool thing would have men that are like pussies that cry all the time about everything, and I don't think anybody wants that either. I think like the goal is you want a guy that is like pretty emotionally stable, that can create space in a relationship for both you and his emotions, and is able to have like an emotional back and forth that you feel like you can communicate some thought to him, and he's not just going to stare at you slack-jawed because you're using words that he doesn't understand, like I feel.
Yeah, I never and it's just me, I just want to say this is just me. I never wanted, I think I never wanted a crying man, and I do lose respect, and I learned this in college. If a man cries for what I would consider stupid reasons, like when I was in college and I broke up with this guy, he was literally crying, begging me, it was so humiliating for him because I lost more respect for him, just bawling like that and crying like that for that reason. I thought,
wait, what was he crying like that for? What?
Because I broke up with him and he wanted me to not do
who
that.
The cares if you broke up with him? Why the fuck would he care about your opinion at that point?
Wait a minute,
I
say
lost
that again.
Respect for him. You already fucking broke up with him. Who the fuck cares if you're
Yeah, but I mean, come on now. We could be friends. I didn't even want to be his friend after that.
Can't be a friend. Yeah, no, you can be friends. It's not if you dump them. What are you thinking?
Yes, you can. You could be friends with somebody if you dump them. Wait a minute. Hold on. Are you saying you never been friends with someone you dumped?
you can be friendly, but being friends is very hard if you're the person.
Okay, I see
you don't
what
have a
you're-
friend. You have a dick in reserve at that point. Okay, that guy's just waiting. That guy is waiting for you. That guy is waiting for you to come back to him. Okay, when you dump your next boyfriend, that's what's going on.
Okay, point proven. But like when a man cries when his dog dies or his family dies or he sees a child suffering. When I was on a police force, I saw that a lot, and nobody thought less of these men because everybody hates to see a child suffer. But I don't to go to the movies and cry at some heart-wrenching scenes. I don't know. I guess I'm a little hard like that because I was like the last part of my childhood, I was raised by a male. I tend to have a little bit. We already know I tend to have more of a masculine type of personality. So if I don't do a lot of crying, I don't expect my man to do that as well. So okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can, and I don't think anybody really wants that, regardless of what some people might say. Nobody wants somebody that's like crying all the time, but you just want somebody that can have the ability to have that like emotional space. I think is probably good.
Right. Destiny, what are the benefits of being in a poly relationship, and what are the downfalls?
I mean, the benefits are you get to fuck multiple people, and the downfalls are you got that much more drama. Isn't that kind of the point?
Is the drama worth the multiple partners, the different partners?
I mean, I would say it is, but I mean, I would say that all relationships have a lot of fucking drama. That's what it seems to be.
Do they though?
Yeah. I don't know. It's very rare that like how many people
define drama.
Maybe how many people in your life like, oh yeah, like I'm in a relationship with this guy, it's going great for like years and everything's like super cool. It feels like everybody's life today is fucked.
Every relationship has challenges.
No, I'm not talking challenges. I'm talking about insane motherfuckers everywhere, Tree. They're lurking everywhere.
Oh, okay.
They're all over the place, okay? Motherfuckers are crazy out here.
I would like to ask this question personally. How do you deal with the women that you pick in a poly that knows you're a poly, but they want to replace your wife?
I mean, those people end up getting kicked to the curb. You can't do that shit, right?
Absolutely, you kick them to the curb. Do you see their intentions immediately, or do you see it later on? Like,
some people are really good at hiding their intentions.
Okay.
Other people you figure out pretty early. It just depends.
All right. Okay. All right. Number 7. When is it okay to keep secrets from your wife or girlfriend?
That's a hard one. I mean, ideally, you never would. But I think that question is too vague. I think it's going to vary from relationship to relationship. And I don't even know what the right answer is. It's going to come down a lot to individual values too. So like, for instance, like a common one that a girl might face is like, if your partner asks you like, how many guys have you been with? Like, do you give the right ansser? I don't know if
we haven't got to that part yet.
Oh, is that another?
Yeah.
Oh shit, sorry. I didn't know that was, but that would be an example of like a question like, do you answer it honestly? Because it seems like only bad can come from it. The guy isn't like learning anything or gaining anything valuable by you telling him. Like, I don't know, it's a hard one. Yeah. Ideally, you would have partners that you could be like honest and open with about literally everything. That's the ideal, but I don't know how.
Can't think of one thing that you would keep a secret from. I mean, would that get you in trouble?
Well, I mean, I'm literally in open relationships, so no, but no, I mean, I mean, the hope would be that you like could be open about everything. That'd be ideally, right?
That's a good question. I should have thought about. Well, this was directed to you, so I never had to ponder about it. So, I think I think there would be maybe something like not a secret, but something you just don't voluntarily offer as information unless it's asked.
Yeah, sure, but does that count as a lie at that point?
Lie by omission, right?
Well, are you omitting it if they never ask about it?
No. Okay. All right.
Here's a general rule of thumb that's sad, but it's true.
What's that?
Here's something that I would say is a general rule of thumb. If you've ever done something sexually that you tried once and you didn't really like it, you don't want to do it again, don't ever tell your partner. 99% of the time, you're gonna end up like breaking up over it. So if your partner like really wants a threesome and you've tried like a threesome before in the past, you're like, I tried it, didn't like it that much. All that guy is hearing when you say that was, I love this partner enough to do this with him.
Good point.
Don't ever do shit like that.
Yeah, that's true. Why are men eager when it comes to sex? Because if you know, there's some couple of questions in here, and it's just like, wow, men, and when it comes to the sexual experience of women or what they have done, their egos is really fragile. It's like a double standard. Like, but hold on, I guess we'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that part in a minute. Number 8. In the manosphere, how do you separate the DL gay men, red pillars, who hate women, from the jaded men who hate women, from the men who don't hate women, but want to sincerely help men learn the game? There's that word game again.
How do you separate them all? I don't know. It's probably going to come down to like how they talk about people's motivations. So like I don't know. That's it. I don't know if I could give like a 2-minute crash course on how to tell the difference. You're gonna have to be familiar with like all of the different types of rhetoric and all the different things that people say, and then you can start to pick out like who likes women versus who doesn't like women. So like if somebody's like, oh, like women tend to prefer men that are more financially stable, like you could say that multiple ways. You could be like, oh, women tend to prefer men who are financially stable because it's obviously bodes well for them. They can have kids and all that, and they'll feel like they'll have more stability. Or you can be like, women are like lazy fucks who need like high value men that make a ton of fucking money because they're never going to work, whatever.
That's BS actually.
You can tell, like, so I guess, like, once you've heard enough, you can start to tell that, like, some of the advice comes from a place of, like, understanding and compassion, and sometimes it just comes from a place of, like, jaded hatred. But you kind of have to listen to a lot to start to tell the difference, I think.
When men get into a relationship, especially if they're new with dating, and they get, quote unquote, they just get played by women, they get hurt, and then they probably don't even have a friend that can relate. And so they go to these channels, and it makes them, it turns that hatred, it turns that incident into a hatred. Like, these women ain't shit, I don't want to deal with them. And then it's now like, what was the famous thing, like pump and dump instead of seeking out a meaningful relationship. And when these men are inexperienced, which is, we have a very good question that's going to get to that part too. They just don't know how to deal with that emotions of being rejected or even if they found out that the girl that they were dating for the first time has another boyfriend. How do they like heal from that in a healthy way instead of in a dysfunctional way, to where they start hating women and just want revenge on women because of what some stupid girl did to them?
There's like a lot of this doesn't really have much to do with like women in general. I think this is like a broader life thing.
Okay.
Where when bad things happen, you have to learn to like separate out like, okay, well, this was a bad thing, but it doesn't mean I have to hate all of this type of person or all of this type of thing. I think there's going to be like broader coping mechanisms that are going to be at play there, rather than just like it's easy to get jaded by something and then hate all of that. So like, for instance, like not to get political, but like a lot of racism or sexism or whatever isms can come from this, right? I have a bad experience with a black person, I hate all black people. I have a bad experience with a teacher, I think teachers are horrible. I've got if you ask people at airlines, everybody will instantly tell you like, oh my god, XYZ is the worst airline. Well, why is that? Because they had one bad experience with that airline.
Yeah.
So, like everybody has an airline that they think is like the worst airline. But it's not because of like this collection of data and studies and all these experiences, because they had one bad experience, So I mean, like, I think there's like a broader general life question of like, how do you get over a bad experience without letting that one singular bad experience define that entire like classification of experiences for you? And that skill that you pick up is independent even of relationships. Relationships is just one area where that could fuck you, but yeah. Also, and then I guess kind of broadly on that same stroke, getting more experience is really important. If you have like one bad experience, you have to keep going out and getting more. Otherwise, that one bad experience will destroy you.
Right.
And I've seen a lot of people who do that, and I can usually pick them out instantly because you can tell how they respond to a bad experience. The most common thing actually in my world is with streaming. When somebody streams and they get like their first big negative drama or something, my advice to that person is always listen. No matter what you do, no matter how you no matter what the fuck you do, like within a week, you need to keep streaming. You have to keep going. You have to
don't stop. Don't make a video like, guys, I'm sorry, I gotta
taking a break.
I gotta take a break, and don't do that.
Because if you do that, and I've seen this happen time and time and time again, if you do that, you won't come back, and you'll be destroyed. You'll be done. You'll be over. You'll be like Maverick and Top Gun 1, except he goes back. But you have to keep pushing forward and keep getting new experience.
It's gonna happen if you're going to be a decent streamer, or even if you aim to be big, people are going to come after you. It's just you just have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? The earlier you deal with it, the better. Okay. Destiny, this one is very interesting. I did not know this about you. Destiny, why do you have a thing for super skinny girls? And I also have something in quotations just in case you deny this.
Is it Bad Bunny?
It's Bad Bunny, Anna, and that's it.
Okay, first of all, so only one of those people is super skinny, and Bad Bunny was not super skinny when I first met her, and I don't have a thing. I like all sorts of shapes and sizes. I've been with all sorts of different types of women, not just super skinny women. But...
Oh, dude! I saw a picture of your wife. She looks great. She's lifting and she's getting her bicep development. I'm like, whoa, she's looking good. So that's why I was surprised. I'm like, he doesn't like super skinny girls, because I saw I can't pronounce her name because. Melania. Yeah, I'm so used to saying Melania that when I try to say your wife's name, it just comes out. I just say Mel, you know.
Yeah, that works too.
Okay, all right. 10. But tell her she looks great. Tell her to keep it up, and
I'll let her know.
Okay. Number 10. Would you really move to speaking of that, number 2, would you really move to Sweden with your wife if she asked you to? If so, for how long? If not, why?
Probably not, because I like moving to Europe would mean I don't play games with any of my friends anymore. It'd be really hard to visit Nathan on like trips. I don't think so. More likely to move back to Nebraska than Sweden, probably.
Really?
Yeah, what the fuck? It's my kid. Why would I leave the country instead of just moving back home?
Okay. I forgot about your son. Sorry. I was thinking, when you said Nebraska, I'm thinking about Nebraska itself, you know, how
oh, no,
backwoods
fuck no.
it is. I didn't think about your son.
Yeah, no, I would only, sorry, I guess I forgot this one. Yeah, no, fuck no, I would never just live in Nebraska willingly. But.
Okay. All right. What do you think about men who laugh at their girlfriend? Oh, I'm definitely going to chime in on this one. What do you think about men who laugh at their girlfriend crying in pain, especially on camera?
What is I need context.
I think
if your girlfriend gets like hit by a car and you're like laughing at her, you're probably a piece of shit.
This guy is referring to the Mr. Girl guy.
Okay, Mr. Girl's in a box in and of itself. I don't know if I would like. I can't tell about those interactions. I don't know. That's a hard one. Seems like it's probably not a good thing, but yeah, I don't know.
I don't think it's a good thing. Men are, and I know this is your crowd, but I have to say it. I know some people in your crowd don't believe this, but this is what I believe, and science backed me up. On average, men are physically stronger.
I don't think my crowd believes that.
Well, I keep hearing that gender is a social construct and that men can participate in women's sports and, trans women can participate in women's sports if they are on. So I don't want to get into that conversation, but that's what I think. I keep hearing that.
Most of my audience and me broadly agrees that
Okay.
On average.
So since men are physically stronger, women, you have to use emotions to express their pain. And I will admit that women will use crying as manipulative. For example, and I'm going to use you as an example, Stephen, when you was going through that entire Anna drama, oh, I was here for that, baby. I was like, this is some good juicy tea, right? One day I tuned into your stream and there was another woman, I don't know her name, but you and her were dating, and she was upset that you were not close to her or keep giving her attention like you used to. And you said, listen, and it was such a great response from you. You was like, listen, I can't be there for you like I used to anymore. I got a lot of things going on. I'm sorry, but if that's what you expect from me, you could just not be my friend anymore. You could just get rid of me. And she didn't want to let go. And then she resorted to crying, and you just sat there and continued playing League. And you didn't feed into it. You didn't laugh at her. You just let her cry, because in my opinion, her crying was she's losing a friend, but it was also a way to get you to be sympathetic to her, to cave to her demands. And so when I saw that, I was like, that is how a man is supposed to react when a woman is hurting, but also could be manipulative. I'm not saying that's the case with Shaylin. I'm just saying that this is when I saw somebody react with a woman crying, but not beating her, because she's now in that woman was in the loser seat. I don't mean to be disrespectful, but she was in a loser seat, okay? And so why bully her? Why beat down someone that's already on the ground by laughing at them? So I agree, when a woman, if you're the bigger man, if you're emotionally stable, if you're emotionally mature, you don't laugh at a woman when she's crying. That makes you look like a piece of shit. And so that's my opinion in reference to the whole laughing. When men laugh at women crying, you know what I'm saying? If the woman crying is not affecting you, you just act like you're not affected. But to me, when you try to show that you're the bigger person by laughing at that pain, because women, we have to, it's like a child. When a child is crying, you immediately go to that child and they go, I lost my mommy, and you want to help. Women do the same thing. It's not always manipulative. Women can cry because they feel helpless. And I think men who you talking about toxic masculinity, for a man to laugh at a woman while she's crying, it just makes him, a bastard, in my opinion. Okay. So let's move on to 12. Do you think you are good at following the advice you give others?
Fuck no. I make a lot of mistakes continuously. But I think that's probably the case with everybody. Most of the good advice, I think I have a lot of good advice and stuff, but most of my good advice is going to come from the mistakes I've made. I think I could do PR or media for most companies better than most PR people could do. I can usually see in advance, if I don't know why they tweeted or said this, because the response is so predictable. But the reason why I know that is because I've usually done all of it before, right? I know that if you do this thing, you're going to be fucked. Or I know that if you respond this way, you're going to be, because I do this all the time. Now the difference is I'm usually not representing a major brand or something, so I don't care as much. But most of my advice will come from have you ever heard of the saying that OSHA, every OSHA regulation is built in blood or something? Anytime you see a sign that says don't do this or be careful for that, it's because somebody probably died doing it.
Yeah.
That would be the advice that I would give. Yeah.
Okay.
If somebody's what, should I do this or whatever? Absolutely not. And really? Because I've seen you do that before. I know, that's why I'm telling you not to do it.
So would you say you're more of the do as I say, not as I do type of person?
No, I don't like that saying because I think that saying implies that there is some person that like is perfect out there. I don't think anybody's perfect. I think everybody like makes mistakes. Like I have like ideals that I aspire to, but I mean like there's a reason why they're called ideals, right? It's an idealized version. Like nobody's going to be an idealized person. It's not like everybody makes mistakes. It's fine. You just do your best.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to number 13. Destiny, how would you navigate through today's dating world if you were 18 through 20 again?
I don't know. You're always best like meeting people in places where you guys like naturally are like cohabitating, kind of like or cohabitating might just mean living together, but like so like meeting people at work or school is probably still like your best bet. Outside of that, I wouldn't be able to tell you. I have no idea. I don't go to bars or anything like that, so I'd be a bad person to ask for advice on that.
Okay, and that's okay. 14. What should one do if your partner wants to get married, but you've stated, and I'm gonna answer on this one too. Sorry, let me repeat that. What should one do if your partner wants to get married, but you've stated that you don't want to get married?
That's a pretty easy one. Then you break up.
Right. Well,
fundamental incompatibility.
Maybe it's my experience, and this could be anecdotal, but I've noticed that when women get with men and they say they want to get married, you know what I'm saying, and the man said, I don't want to get married, women tend to think, oh, if I give him some good sex, if I cook him some right food, if I show him I'm a good, loyal wife, I make a good one, he'll change his mind. And I think that's why they don't break up immediately. And I believe that a woman will try to manipulate a guy or do an ultimatum. And sometimes, I don't know, have you seen a man, I've never seen in my personal experience where a man eventually just get broken down and agree to marry a woman. I've seen stupid women do this and stay in a relationship with a guy for 8 years, and then all of a sudden the guy has a heart attack or he gets in a car accident, and then she's by his bedside and he was like, well, shit, I can't take care of myself that well. I'm gonna need somebody help. Okay, I'll marry you. And it's like, and I'm thinking like, whoa, girl, this is silly. And then they get married, come to find out that he finds another woman who can do a better job than her, and then the marriage was just, it never worked out anyway.
Yeah, I'm like a big fan of like, especially like when you're past like age 25, I think you're done. I think past 25, you're pretty done like changing as a person. You should know what you want. People that are, people that think that they can like find somebody and change them or turn them into something else. I mean, like when you're 18 or 19, like you're still both growing and changing. So like maybe. Yeah. But once you've hit like a certain age, like when you're into your 20s, like I think you look for people that you're compatible with, and you don't have this pretty naive idea that like you can change them into being something totally different. I don't think that's going to happen most of the time.
They say 28 is when your foundation is rock solid. Like it's really hard to change. I don't know why that age is. I was reading a study on it, and I don't know why that they picked that age, but that was the age where people are like set in their ways for the most part. Mm-hmm. And if they don't want to get married or they don't believe in marriage, they just morally don't. Have you ever been that way? Have you ever been to the point where you never believed in marriage when you were young?
Yeah, I've just never, well, since I was not religious, so 16, 17, yeah.
Okay. All right, let's see.
Just because some people in chat are saying this, I would even disagree with Tree's age. And I see someone saying 32 seems to be the upper bound. If you meet somebody who is like 26 years old and they're like a slob, they don't know how to do laundry, that whatever, like this person, like that, this person is not changing. I'm sorry, I don't think so. Unless you're willing to like do like basic training or some shit, like go to the military or do like some major life change. I don't think that, I think that those people are kind of like set, but.
What age would you pick then?
What age would I'd say around 25, maybe even a little younger is going to be where I personally think that like your major personality traits, I think are all pegged in at around like, I'd say 16, 17. Maybe even as young as 15. Like you're gonna see kind of like where like this is the blueprint of what the person's gonna become. That's like one thing. But once a person is like in their 20s, like 25, I think that you have like, I think that person is who they are, basically. I think it's very, very rare that you meet somebody at 25 and then you see them again at 30 and they're like, oh my God, I totally changed my life. It happens. It's just very, very, very rare. And you're going to be throwing your life away if you try to get into a relationship with somebody like that to change them. I just think you're setting yourself up for failure.
Okay. 15, describe what you think a healthy relationship with porn would look like.
I mean, one, it has to be one that your partner is accepting of. So that's like the most important part.
Oh, would that be a secret you keep?
I mean, that depends on the type of relationship, because some people would consider that cheating. So I mean, like, depending on how severe the other person looks at it. So would you cheat on your partner, I guess, and keep that a secret?
Well, men, I'm not being sexist here, but for the most part, porn is consumed mostly by men, right?
Yeah.
So if men were into, I'm not saying they should do this, but if men were into some really crazy categories, if they told their significant other, it would probably make that woman say, peace, dude, you too crazy for me. I don't know.
That might be true. We might have totally different lived experiences, but I've gathered this data like so much anecdotally, and I understand it could be wrong, but it really does feel like the overwhelming amount of time, it's starting to feel more and more like women are more sexual than men are. They're just more selective with their partners.
Yes.
Like when I read like dead bedroom stuff or people that have problems with sexual relationships, and I've heard so many times from women over and over and over and over and over again, like, oh, like my partner, the guy that I'm dating never wants sex as much as I do. I hear that a million times.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So I mean,
but
like,
they
if
don't
you
have
are
to go
into
to. But what about so when men are going to porn because they're not getting enough sex, or is it because they want to look at a certain type of quote unquote category sex that they know they can't participate in real life?
It could be porn addiction. It could be that. It could be a large variety of things. I don't know. It's hard to say. That's going to vary from person to person, probably, right?
So what would a healthy relationship with it be like for this question?
I mean, I would say one that your partner is okay with. Whatever they're okay. If your partner's like, yeah,
well,
fucking
what if
go
they're
for
single?
it 5 times a day, then fucking go. If they're single, I mean, as long as you're not like missing work or something, because you're masturbating too much.
No, that answer is not good. So you mean tell me if they're single and they're watching it because you're working from 9 to 5. So you mean to say if they are watching it from 7 to 4 a.m., that's good?
That's probably a little excessive, I'd say. I don't know what the hour timeline I could give you, though, is. Jeez.
Okay. Number 16. Are men really that stupid to think? Oh, this is a good one.
Everybody's that stupid.
Are men really that stupid to think that mileage on men is more acceptable than sexual mileage on women? Do men not know that women can lie about the number of sexual partners she had unless they are a size queen? These guys will never know.
Yeah, true, they could lie. I mean, like, without getting too much into the dynamics of this, I mean, the reason why people view it a little bit differently is because it's a I don't know how much I want to get into this conversation.
Get into it.
I hate to use this saying. Have you ever heard that, like, a master key is a key that can open all locks?
Yes.
That's good. Yeah. So, I mean, like, if you're a guy and you've, like, had sex with a lot of women, for men, and a lot of men, so here's something like red pillars and all these people, they'll never acknowledge this, okay? But for men, especially the men that hate women, the most important form of validation you can get in your life is from a woman. Mm-hmm. That's always the case. A guy with multiple women around him, or a guy that can fuck multiple women, it's like the ultimate form of validation to that man and to the men around him. You're like, hey, yeah, I'm so cool, I fucked 10 women. And every other guy's like, oh my God, 10 women have let you fuck her, that's amazing. For women, it's not like that same dynamic doesn't exist, because any woman could theoretically fuck hundreds of men in even a month. She could do 3 a day on Tinder, and it would be like whatever. So, I mean, that's one of the reasons why people look at it a little bit differently. For the second thing, I don't know why this is the case, but I'm not going to say that women never get insecure, But it seems like a woman is okay being with a guy that's been with other women, but when men think about their partner being with other men, they like lose it. They have like a huge problem.
Lose it.
Yeah, they have a huge problem. They start running into all sorts of like weird comparisons and shit in their mind.
Is that insecurity? Because why would you care unless you think that the other men that she had prior to you were better at satisfying her? Like, I don't understand the purpose. I'm trying to understand, like, why do you care? Okay, now don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I totally get it if you don't. No, I still can't get it because the thing about it is that like unless she's been blown out and like you having sex with her is like entering the Grand Canyon. I don't.
Wait, also hold on, real quick. That's not how that works. Not how vaginas work. But go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm just being hyperbolic here. I'm just saying like unless something about her shows that she has. No, I can't even say that because I know some courtesans and we have had that talk, and yeah, men would never know. And also they have, let's say, even when they have a baby, they're able to have surgery. I forgot what it's called.
You don't need surgery to have a baby. The vagina will go back to how it was.
Well, they still get the surgery. Then why did they get the surgery then?
The only surgery you'll get is if you have any tears or whatever during like delivery. Sometimes that happens.
No, these are women, and there have been celebrities, and I can give you some articles about it, who will brag. For example, I hate to put this woman on blast because I really don't like her. Jada Pinkett Smith, right? Mm-hmm. When she had her, I forgot what she called it, entanglement with the other younger guy, mm-hmm. She even said that she had to go because he was so big that she had to go and get I think it's called vaginoplasty. I could be mispronouncing that.
Okay, no.
So she's lying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Your vagina.
What? How do you know she's lying?
Because that's just not how vaginas work. It doesn't make any sense. That means that every guy that has sex with a woman for like a year, like here, like this is like the man brain when it comes to vaginas, and I guess some women's brain. The guy would be like, if you fuck 10 different guys, your vagina is gonna be loose and nasty. But if I fuck you 100 times, it's gonna go back to being tight this way. Like it doesn't even make sense, right? Like it doesn't like scan a key card every time a new dick comes in and it starts like it doesn't even make sense.
So you don't believe in this size queen thing that this person is saying? Like
I think there are some women that are size queens. Some women are very much like, yeah, I want like a 9-inch dick or whatever. But I mean, those women are pretty rare. Like that's not the average woman, I think.
No, it's not, and it's not 9. It's 10 inches. No, I know.
You're different. You're like 10 feet tall, so okay.
No, I'm not a size queen.
Yeah, okay.
I'm not a size queen. Uh-huh. I have a friend who's a size, and she's shorter than me. So yeah. Uh-huh. So there. How you, and I know this, and I'll say this with confidence, I know there's a lot of short women who are size queens. Okay, number 17. Do you think hookup culture will start to slow down with Roe versus Wade being overturned?
No.
Why do you think that?
It's like saying, like, do you think that, like, if we increase punishments for certain crimes, will the crimes go away? No, like, when people are doing things that they're not supposed to, they're not thinking of the negative consequences. Nobody's fucking a woman thinking like, all right, well, I could get this bitch pregnant, but we can just go get an abortion. People are thinking she's not going to get pregnant. Same thing when somebody's robbing a gas station. They're like, okay, well, I've got 2 priors. If I get a conviction here, I might be looking at 5 to 10. Maybe not. Maybe, like, nobody's thinking of it that way, right? Like, they're thinking of, like, they're not going to get caught. So, no, I don't think people are making decisions based on the punishments or what opportunities are available to them for, like, abortions. Or I don't think that's the case.
Okay. Number 18, describe what a normal friendship with girls is, because I can't tell if I am friends with girls because I like their attention or because I like being with them.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a really hard one. I think about that one all the time. I'll let you know when I find an answer.
Okay. Well, most of these came from your crew anyway. So when you do find an answer, make sure you tell it. 19, would you consider the solution to the incel problem is to legalize prostitution. Have these quote unquote ladies teach you some game as well.
Hold on, wait, real quick, because I got a lot of dumb fucks that are messaging me now and shit about like, well, what about in these countries where in Brazil and in Egypt there is a death penalty, and in China they blah blah blah. The reason isn't because the punishment's there; it's because it's enforced. You get caught there. I think that's the difference. Nobody like you can look at states across the United States and look at like differences for like how harshly things are punished. Like look at like people talking about the death penalty in Texas all the time. You guys execute like 500 motherfuckers a year in that state. It doesn't seem like it's helping at all. I think that in general people don't connect the action that they're doing with the potential outcome of the punishment. But if there's some place that like punishes something harshly, it usually means they're enforcing or trying to catch people there more harshly as well. And then usually that's going to be why that people get like, it just makes everything a little bit more difficult. But it's not going to be because a person is like, oh, well, you know, I could like, this is a guess. Okay. This is going to be a guess I have.
Okay.
Could be wrong. Okay. I've never been to China before. I've been to South Korea, but I've never looked for drug there. My guess is going to be that like, if I want to find weed in California, I can probably find weed in California.
Easily.
Finding weed in another one of these countries, though, especially these Asian countries where it's like ultra legal, it's probably a lot more difficult. So when people are like, oh yeah, well, of course you don't smoke weed in South Korea, you're going to go to jail. Well, no, that's not really the reason why I wouldn't smoke weed there. It's going to be because it's really hard to find, right? People aren't connecting it with like the punishment. It's just that like the overall like attitude of enforcement towards something is going to make those things probably harder to find.
So you're saying punishment is not going to deter them?
I don't think so, because I don't think people
because nobody goes to
usually...
Singapore and think that they're going to do from my understanding, Singapore is very strict, and you know that before going in there, that they don't play. And I don't know if this is a rumor or not, but you can't even chew gum there or something like that.
That sounds like a rumor.
Okay.
But my guess is going to be that if you were in Singapore and you're at a party with friends and somebody offers you weed, I don't know if people are going to be like, oh no, I can't smoke weed, it's illegal here. It's probably going to be more like, because it's so illegal and enforced, like it's just not going to be around as much. So the temptation is in there to do it, you know?
Okay. Oh, okay. So we was on the 19. Okay. Would you consider...
Wait, you said you used to be a cop, right?
Yeah.
The rhetoric, because my aunt used to be a cop, and I hear this from my aunt and my mom all the time. This is why people will say shit like, you are who you hang around.
True.
Or choose your friends carefully.
Yeah.
Because they know that if you are surrounded by a lot of bad people, you're going to do bad things. You just are. The opportunity's there and you're going to do it. Like, and I know my aunt would do this as a cop. I don't know if you do this, but like people will like judge you very quickly. Cops especially will judge you very quickly based on like the crowd that you run with, right? Like if you're friends with this or that, you know, you're going to be up to no good. Or did you ever listen to the not a good figure to point to anymore, but do you remember Bill Cosby's pound cake speech?
Yes, and I forgot it.
It's been a long time, so I don't remember.
It's so long, because it pissed black people off. So that's the reason why I remember it.
Off, but there's huge splits in the black community over like how do you deal with like because some black people will say things like systemic injustices exist, criminal justice system is bullshit, cops are always trying to fuck over black people, blah blah. Maybe most black people believe this, but there are other black people that'll say like, yeah, that's true, but why the fuck are you hanging out with those people? And I think that's what the pound cake speech was for Bill Cosby. It was like, I think a kid got shot by a cop, I think, because he stole pound cakes. And Bill Cosby was like, he basically was like, why was he even there?
Yeah.
And, which is a strong statement, but like it kind of...
I agree with him, though.
Sure, yeah. But well, some people get upset because, well, you shouldn't get shot for it, etc., which is true. But like you can look at figures like George Floyd and everything too, where, you know, some people are like, you don't deserve to die for, you know, whatever George Floyd did, you know, counterfeit money, whatever. That's not a death penalty thing. And that'll be like, people will be like, true, but then other people point to be like, why the fuck was he there doing that in the first place, you know? So yeah, I think just broadly saying, like, be careful who you surround yourself with, the environments you put yourself in, because it's going to make you more prone to bad behavior and everything. And I think that's going to be a way more important determining factor of bad behavior than like what is the punishment in an area for a certain crime, you know?
I do believe you can tell a lot about a person by the people they hang around with, you know what I'm saying?
For sure.
I do believe
that's
that.
why I rarely talk to you.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. Fuck me.
Asshole. Anyway, when I was a police officer, we could not hang around anybody who was a felon. And if we did, we would get suspended. And
Wait, really?
Yeah, they don't have that now. Like,
okay.
things have changed since I was a police officer, and in my opinion, for the worse. We had to have a physical fitness test, and if we were, there was a certain amount of weight that a police officer, especially if you was a street cop, you could not gain this amount of weight, and if you did. And they will always find out if you did by when you go to your lieutenant and ask for upgrade, a bigger size in your uniform. Then that's when the lieutenant will measure your body parts and then if he'll report you. But there was a lot of, there's a lot of things that they made strict about us. And plus, we were never ever allowed to have friends, even family members. If our family members, which was never my case, was felons, we could not associate with them because that's just how they wanted us. They want us to live by that. You are what you hang around. So this is the reason why when I was a police officer, most of the people we hung around with was people in the military and other police officers, as well as people in the fire department.
I guess the only reason why I don't like that mentality is because it feels like you can be a felon for a lot of bullshit reasons. Or like there are probably a lot of people that are like felons, but they're not like horrible people, right? Like felon doesn't always mean like wife beater or something, you know? Like
in Georgia, it was because they don't have gun. I'm not saying this is the only reason, but when I asked why, just to my captain, he was like, "Well, they can't carry guns, so you know." But that wasn't the only. He's like, "But that's not the only reason." He was like, "Their gun, their gun rights have been taken." So,
can you really get rid of a person's right to own a firearm? I thought it was just voting, but maybe it's a firearm.
No, in Georgia, if you have a felony, you cannot have a firearm.
Damn. Crazy.
Okay.
My Second Amendment rights. That's wild.
Well, that's unfortunate. Would you consider the solution to the incel problem is to legalize prostitution? Have these ladies teach you some game as well. But if you're hopeless at game, then pay to play is an option. What are your thoughts on this?
No, I don't think that. Like prostitutes or like pay for sex. That's not a substitution for like real human connection. Yeah. Okay.
Number 20. Destiny, are you ready to admit that you would not be interested in working out now if it wasn't for your wife convincing you to join her at the gym?
I don't think she ever did convince me. I don't think she ever cared much. Being able to do so, here's something that I feel very strongly about. Having people around you to reinforce good habits is probably one of the most important parts of having a good habit. So like, I've always wanted to get into working out. I kind of like started stop a lot in the past, but having somebody that's actively working out makes it easier to do it. The easiest like counterexample to this is if you've ever tried, there's two big ones. If you've ever tried to quit drugs and you still hang around with friends that do drugs,
it's going to be hard to do it. Yeah.
No, it won't be hard. It will be impossible.
Yeah.
You will always fail. Don't even waste your time. Just go back to meth. Okay, pick up the pipe because you're fucked. Same thing with like if you're trying to lose weight and you have like a partner that like bakes and stuff all the time.
Oh, yeah.
You're never gonna do it. Don't even bother wasting time. Just like learn how to live as a fat person.
True.
Pick out your wheelchair right now because you're fucked. You're never gonna make it. So yeah, I think that like Melina being like a gym going person is like somebody that very easily like reinforces that habit. So it's a lot easier with her to do that. Yeah.
Okay. What does it take to date an e-girl?
I don't know. Be a fuck boy. I don't know. It probably depends on what kind of e-girl you're trying to date. I mean, if you're like me and you're like an e-boy, then I mean it's pretty easy because your lives kind of line up and everything. If you're just like a stranger on the outside, you're probably never gonna get in there. It's almost impossible to do it at that point. It's difficult because our lives are so much different from the norm that a lot of people just can't relate. Like I find that like when I'm talking to people who have very online lives, especially women, usually the thing that we relate over the most is that I have a really good understanding of how crazy their lives are. And that's something that's very rare. Like most men just won't have any fucking idea like the level of bullshit they put up with. So if you're a normal person, it's just, and also this kind of sucks. I used to think that like celebrities were really big elitists and shit. I used to, oh yeah, you'll never blah 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 date a normal person. You think you're better than everyone, but it's not that. It's just that like normal people have no insight into like the crazy things that happen in this world, and then you always kind of look at people a little weird because you don't know who's trying to like use you or fuck with you.
True. Yeah. Okay. For men isolated in today's climate, what would be the next best way to meet women other than work or school?
For men isolated in today's climate, I don't know. I truly don't know. That's it's such a hard one.
He told me to press you on this one because I guess he asked you this in the chat and you.
Well, it's not like I'm going to invent an answer because you pressure me. I truly don't know where I would meet people. Like pick a hobby, I guess, and see people that do your hobbies. Like if you play like Magic, you go to Magic tournaments. If you do models, go to model conventions or something, maybe something like that. But I mean, I've been a very online person since I was like 12 years old. So, or start learning how to play the dating app game. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here's a long one. I'm a virgin and I'm 28 years old. It's a long story how I got this way, but I'll spare you the details. I'm currently dating a girl I really like for 2 weeks. We make out a lot. He put a lot in capital letters. But I always stop it before it goes any further. I do this because I'm scared that I will disappoint her sexually due to my inexperience, and I lie to her about my sexual past. On our first date, I told her that I'm single because my last girlfriend went psycho on me after I broke up with her because the sex was so so good.
This guy, like depending on what state you live in, whether go to the gun store or buy a handgun, you fuck yourself so hard, and you're actually so.
I'm so sorry. I'm not laughing at you. I'm so sorry.
You should be laughing at that guy.
I can't live up to this fiction. Not yet, anyway. My brother wants me to go to a brothel. My best friend wants me to come clean to her. Help me fix this without losing face. What should I do?
I don't like once you've told that many lies, like you fucked yourself.
Yeah, you did actually. I can't.
Yeah. I don't like your best bet at this point would be to like sit her down and have an honest talk with her, and then like get all your cards out on the table. Chances are she won't care that much. Well, she might care that you lied to her.
Yeah, you lied to her.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I don't think this is breakup information. I don't think so.
Yeah. But the lying might be the big part. But yeah, otherwise, yeah, you're just a dumb fuck, so I don't know.
That's so mean. He can't help but being a
dumb fuck.
Yeah, I think he's just, I don't know. Men brag sexually, but I don't think you should have bragged to her about a lie. You know, when men lie to each other, you know what I'm saying, and in male spaces, you know, they talk about the women they didn't get and the sex they didn't have, you know what I'm saying, and how much they made her like what they say blew her back out and all this other stuff. But to lie to a woman about that's just silly.
Well, especially one that you're fucking dating.
Right.
That's like a guy with a 4-inch dick saying he's got like a 12-inch dick to a girl.
Right. Oh yeah, good analogy. Yeah, good comparison. I agree with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right.
Hold on real quick. I'm sorry. I have a virgin in chat. Here, honesty is the worst idea. How can Destiny be consistently wrong on this? If you are a virgin at 28, you're not going to pick up the prerequisite experience needed to blow the back out of whatever girl you're dating. So you can't. So you have to be honest. You're not going to be able to live up to that lie. So you're dead wrong. Okay.
Okay. All right. Is it ever possible for a guy who doesn't stream to date a cam girl without dropping huge donos?
It's going to be really, 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 really hard because of everything that I said prior to this. You're in a totally different world. It's like streamers tend to be with streamers. Famous people tend to hook up with famous. Like it's just that it is what it is because there's so much shared overlapping interest there.
Okay. Remember when I said, "Hey, should I clear this with you?" And you like you don't care. And this is the question I wanted to clear with you. Because I didn't know this, so I'm just I'm assuming this is true. So here's the question. Would women still date you, Destiny, if you didn't put your social media links in your dating bio? Do you do that? You put all your...
Yeah, so this is like, people ask this question a lot. It's a really stupid question. So people will say things like, do you think that women would date you if you weren't a famous streamer or something like that? Or do you think people would hit you up if you weren't a famous streamer? Like, here's the reality. I've spent the past 12 years of my life building out this career. So like, why would I present myself to somebody absent that? Because I've spent so much time on this, you know? Like, let's say instead I could have been like a lawyer, or probably not a doctor, but some other, like an engineer or something. I would obviously say like, oh yeah, this is my profession. Like, I work at a mechanical engineer at like fucking Boeing or something. Or I do this or that or whatever. Like, of course I'm going to talk about my job. When people try to do this thing, it's like, well, if you don't talk about the thing that you spent the past 12 years of your life building that you're incredibly successful at, I don't think anybody would like you. Yeah, no shit they would have liked me, because I'd just be a random 33-year-old fucking loser that can't talk about his job. Like, what am I supposed to say? So yeah, I'm sure that like my job or whatever is something that draws people to me. But I mean, it should, right? Like, I'm pretty successful in a pretty cutthroat industry, and I've been doing it for 12 years, you know? That's like saying like, that's like talking to like a doctor or a lawyer and being like, I don't think a girl would fuck you if you weren't a doctor. It's like, dude, this guy like busted his ass for 15 years through fucking pre-med, med school, residency, and now works at a hospital. Like, yeah, of course, you know, that's going to be attractive to some people. And I think it should be. I think that's fine.
But you don't care. And I think this is what I heard. You don't care if women only pursue you because of your status online.
I mean, it's probably not gonna last very long. I mean, if it's just a fuck, that's fine. I don't care. I mean, it's just sex, right? But I mean, like, if somebody's trying to like use you for fame, yeah, actually, even that I don't care. If you want to use me for a host and you want to fuck me,
yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I said. I've heard you say that, and I was like, I don't understand that. Why don't you care about being used?
Yeah, well, because we're both getting something out of it, right? Like, if some girl is like, listen, I'm gonna fuck you so that you like host.
I don't even know why I asked you that question. You still would have sex with Bad Bunny. I'm sorry, I take that back. You know what I'm saying? Forget it.
Wait, hold on. This is before she was a communist. Okay, it was different. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Not that I wouldn't fuck a communist if you were thinking about nothing. Okay, go ahead.
All right. Where was that? Oh, okay. So this is the last question. So you still would have sex with her though, right?
Today?
Yes, today. Because the last time I asked you, you said yes, and I was so shocked by that.
It would depend on a lot. I like crazy girls, okay? I like sex. What do you want me to say, okay?
Gosh, dude.
I think that this might be a difference between... It might be me because I'm fucking Coomer brained, or it might be a difference between men and women. I've noticed that, like, I think that there is emotionally, spiritually, or functionally, there's something different between like taking something into your body versus putting something into somebody else's body. And I feel that women have a general feeling that when somebody fucks you, you're letting somebody do something to you. And that feeling emotionally is probably a bit different than a guy who's like doing something to somebody else. So for women, when you ask me that question, like, would you still like fuck this person? I think in your mind, this is just a guess. I don't know what's in your mind, right? You can tell me, right? But I feel like in your mind, women tend to view sex as like a thing that they let other people do to them. Mm-hmm. So there's like a buy-in there. Like, I trust you enough, or I like you enough to do this. But for guys, it's like something that you do to somebody else, you know? So it like the feeling is a little bit more emotionally externalized. Okay. Yeah, and you don't have that same feeling like, yeah, of course I'd fuck a random person. Who cares? And like when a woman hears it, it's like, wait, you would like trust a random person and have to let them inside of you doing that? But for the guys, it's like, well, no, it's something I'm doing to another person. It'd be like punching a random person. Like, who cares? You know? Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Okay. Yes. Gotcha. All right. I think we're on our last question. It has two parts. Mm-hmm. If you were to design a Tinder profile in a conservative area, what would it say? And then the second one is, if you were to design a Tinder profile in a liberal area, what would it say?
Putting the political shit in your profile is fucking cringe. If I was designing a good Tinder profile, I'd probably like ask a friend girl that's on Tinder a lot, like, what do you look for? And then I would just go by their recommendations. If you've got friends that are girls, like asking them how to design the profile is probably going to be your best bet. But like the idea that like Because no offense, like I've been on Tinder a lot, and I haven't done Miami yet, but in like LA and shit, every motherfucker had like Marxist, socialist, anarchist. Like there were a ton of girls with this shit in their profile. I seriously doubt that's going to be the differentiator between if a girl chooses you or not. Like, oh my god, this guy has Marxist in his profile. Like I'm totally going with that dude. Like that's never happening, Chief.
Wouldn't men who, and I'm just guessing because I don't know, men who are right wing or conservative would be like thankful that those women would put, or are they like you? They don't care. She could be a daggone.
I don't think people.
She could be a Stalinist and still he'll be like, well, it's a hit. So.
Yeah, this is something I've learned quite a bit about over the past while, is that like I think that people, I used to believe this more, that like people's political beliefs were really important, but I think that's because I identify strongly with my political beliefs, and I think that they come out in different ways in different people. Like I think that, let me back up. I think it's more important to find out how a person treats you interpersonally or treats other people interpersonally than what their political beliefs are. I've met a lot of dog shit fucking human beings that are progressive and tolerant and love everybody and blah, blah, blah. But no, they're not. They're fucking assholes in their personal lives. These are like subhuman, filthy, creep fucks. Okay? So like at the end of the day, I don't give a fuck what your political views are. What I care about is like, how do you treat me? How do you treat the people around you? I think that's going to be way more important. So I think it's possible you can get along with people that have way, way, way different political views of you, just depending on how they treat people. And just because somebody has some political view that lines up with yours doesn't mean fuck all. There's a lot of progressives that are like fucking loser pieces of shit. And there's a lot of conservatives that put about how much they like family values and they respect blah, 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 who treat women like fucking garbage as well. Like schizoid men that like have no fucking idea how to like treat other human beings or have an emotional connection with somebody, or not just be this like caricature of like a Sigma alpha male and act like an ass all the time. So yeah, I don't know. I think it's important to meet somebody, figure out how they act, and then, you know, go from there. Don't like try to like filter people based on their political views. That's not going to tell you anything about the person.
Okay. All right. I agree with that. So that covers both of those questions, actually. Okay. All right. That concludes the question. What did you think about it so far? So it was way more questions this time than, but there were more from men than women. And I get in all honesty, that's because I kept going into your chat, which was wild.
Nice chat.
All right, hold on a second before we finish signing off. All right, guys. So that concludes today's Q&A, relationship wise, with Stephen Bonnell the second. Right?
That's right.
Okay. So we'll see you guys again on the next round. I don't know when that will be, but I'll let you know ahead of time. All right. Later, Tater. Say bye, Stephen.
Bye, Stephen.
You do that every time.
My dad joke's coming out, you know.